Welcome back to the Daily Roll-Up. So as I'm sure many of you are probably aware, on September 30th of 2025, the U.S. government failed to pass an agreement or a vote on a budget for the continuing resolution to fund the federal government through the end of 2025, because the U.S. federal government's fiscal year runs from October 1st to September 30th. Now, in order to avoid interruptions, Congress has to pass appropriations bills, or basically a continuing resolution, to maintain funding levels from the previous year, and then failure to do so triggers a partial government shutdown where non-essential operations cease and employees are furloughed, placed on unpaid leave, and only essential services like national security, air traffic control, and law enforcement continue, oftentimes without pay until retroactive funding is approved. Now, this is the 15th time that such a shutdown has happened since 1980, and the first since 2019. So, like I said, they failed to pass an agreement for the continuing resolution on the 30th of September, and so officially at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on October 1st of 2025, the shutdown officially began. Now, just a super brief overview of what kind of happened. The Republicans currently control the House of Representatives. They passed a short-term GOP-backed continuing resolution extending current spending levels for 7 weeks. The bill avoided major policy riders, but was criticized by Democrats for not addressing some of their priorities, such as protecting healthcare programs. The Senate rejected the bill after it reached it because there was a Democratic proposal for a cleaner continuing resolution with no policy add-ons, and it was defeated 47 to 53, short of the 60 votes that are needed under filibuster rules. Every single Republican voted against it, while a GOP alternative also failed amid cross-party gridlock as well. Now, Senator Majority Leader John Thune called the GOP measure, quote, nonpartisan, but Democrats led by Minority Leader Chuck Schumer accused Republicans of sabotaging negotiations over demands to cut healthcare funding and unrelated provisions. That's what he was saying. Now, President Trump and his administration are trying to push for a clean extension, and they blamed the Democrats for policy demands that they were making that prevented any continuing resolution to get passed, including an estimated $1 trillion in new spending on social programs. Now, negotiations stalled over partisan clashes, with the president publicly urging Republicans to hold firm. So basically, some of the key accusations that Republicans have said Democrats did is they said they were demanding $1 trillion on health care, and they blocked a simple extension. And the Republicans are saying that the shutdown is the fault of the Democrats for obstruction, whereas the Democrats are saying that the Republicans risked Americans' health care by tying funding cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, and anti-immigrant riders. And then they are accusing the president, saying that it's his fault that the shutdown is happening. So basically, both sides are blaming each other, saying that it's the other side's fault for causing the shutdown. I would imagine that at some point today, things are probably going to change. Interestingly enough, the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought confirmed that once the government is closed down, that he's going to look into firing federal bureaucrats, which, let's see what he had to say.
I mean, estimate for us, give us some ballpark numbers here. We've already had some sizable reductions in force. Actually, there's a number 300,000 floating around for this calendar year. That may or may not be the right number, but that number is floating around. Now, if there's a budget shutdown, as our own chat program suggested, almost ineluctably will be a budget shutdown, then you have the authority to reduce the federal employee count by roughly how much?
Well, I'm going to let that those kinds of questions extend until tomorrow and the days after. Right now, where we are, we have hours to go before a government shutdown, and it can be avoided. And then we'll get in tomorrow. The preparation is all done. We have many options, but we're going to get in tomorrow and see where we are, and we're going to manage this shutdown and try to keep the American people from the havoc that the Democrats have caused on with their crazy demands. But let it be said, there are all manner of authorities to be able to keep this administration's policy agenda moving forward, and that includes reducing the size and scope of the federal government, and we will be looking for opportunities to do that.
And you've made that very clear to Mr. Schumer. It doesn't seem to move him, Russ Vought. That's what I don't understand. It will be worse. I mean, if I were he, and I'm most certainly not, but if I were he, I would want a continuing resolution and discuss all this stuff. I wouldn't want to hand the circular over to you, and he'll have to take some measures that he's not going to like one darn bit.
Well, I think he's got some time over the next several hours to come back from the brink, to work with his moderates to get a continuing resolution passed. We'll see how these votes come up, and then we'll see where we are in the morning.
All right. Well, Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought.
Yeah, you heard it straight from the Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought, or Vote. They're looking to shrink the size of the federal employee lists and getting rid of federal employees, which there's already been a significant reduction in civilian federal employees since President Trump took office for his second term. And this seems to be a priority of the administration currently. So by the time this video comes out, they might have by chance voted on a continuing resolution, but at least right now, as of 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, the government's shut down. So we'll see. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, they've voted on a continuing resolution and the government has been funded again. But I guess we'll find out later today. Or I guess by the time this video comes out, when you see this, then we'll hopefully have some more information. So Volodymyr Leontiev, who's a 61-year-old Ukrainian collaborator who served as the Russian-installed head of the occupation administration in Nova Kakhovka, which is a city in Ukraine's Kherson Oblast region that was under Russian control since early days of the full-scale invasion, was targeted in a Ukrainian drone strike on October 1st of 2025 and was removed. Now, Leontiev had been actively aiding Russian forces from the outset of the war in 2022, including assisting in the abduction of Beryslav's mayor, Alexander Shapilov, in March of 2022. He was accused of multiple war crimes, such as facilitating deportations and suppressing local resistance. Now, apparently the strike occurred when a Ukrainian FPV drone hit his white SUV as it was parked outside of a residential building in Nova Kakhovka. He sustained severe injuries in the blast and succumbed to them later at a hospital. And then the Russian-installed official Vladimir Saldo confirmed the attack, describing Leontiev as, quote, one of the first organizers of the new authorities in the area. Now, video footage of this assassination circulated widely on social media shortly after the event and appears to be captured from the drone's onboard camera. But yeah, this just adds an extra layer of complexity to the situation in Ukraine, because you've got folks that are Ukrainian that are essentially being used by the Russian occupation forces to do their bidding. Almost like how the Poles were forced to do things for the Germans when they were occupying Poland. A 6.9 magnitude earthquake hit central Philippines on September 30th of 2025 at approximately 9:59 p.m. local time, causing widespread devastation, and over 100 people died. This happened in Cebu province and the surrounding areas. The epicenter was located about 12 miles northeast of Bogo City in northern Cebu at a shallow depth at around 5 to 10 kilometers in the Visayan Sea, which amplified the shaking and damage on land. Now, this event is one of the strongest to hit the region in recent years and has been linked to the Philippines' position in the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is obviously a very seismically active zone that everybody's pretty much aware of around the entire, Pacific Rim, right? The quake has claimed at least 69 lives so far, although some estimates are even higher. More than 150 people were injured, with the death toll expected to rise as rescue operations continue. Apparently, most of the fatalities occurred in northern Cebu, where a two-story pension house and a gymnasium were among the structures that crumbled and disintegrated. Infrastructure suffered pretty extensively, with cracked roads, damaged bridges, and over 80 tourism establishments affected. Apparently, 711 tourism workers were impacted and 15 tourists were stranded. Power outages happened throughout the whole region as well, and nearby islands. Some of the aftershocks included several above magnitude 5.0 have continued into October 1st as well, which complicates recovery efforts because, obviously it's harder for, emergency responders to get in there when there's ongoing aftershocks still happening. There was a brief tsunami alert that was issued out, but later was lifted by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center with no significant sea level disturbances reported. So Russia's fifth largest oil refinery suffered a catastrophic explosion on September 30th of 2025, and this is a pretty big deal apparently. So in any case, Russia's Yaroslavl oil refinery, which is operated by Slavneft Yanos and ranks as the 5th largest facility in the country, experienced a massive explosion that ignited a fierce fire in its key VT6 processing unit. Now, the incident, which occurred without any prior warning and sporadically, had raised immediate concerns about energy infrastructure security, environmental impacts, and potential economic ripple effects amid ongoing geopolitical tensions in the region. Now, this oil refinery is located about 250 kilometers northeast of Moscow along the Volga River and has an annual capacity for around 15 million tons of crude oil, which is roughly 300,000 barrels per day. The VT6 unit alone handles over 124,000 barrels per day, primarily focusing on vacuum distillation to produce heavy fuel oil, bitumen, and feedstocks for further refining. The explosion happened around 2:15 a.m. local time, and according to initial reports from local authorities and plant operators, it was described as a thunderous blast followed by a towering fireball visible from kilometers away. Firefighting efforts began immediately, but the blaze persisted into the morning of October 1st. Now, current status as of October 1st, midday, the VT6 unit remains engulfed in flames with thick black smoke billowing across the region. There's no official estimate on full containment that's been released, but sources indicate it could take 48 to 72 hours to fully extinguish due to the unit's size and volatile hydrocarbons involved. Productions across the refinery has been completely halted, which is definitely going to impact downstream supplies. Now, so far, they're speculating that it points to a technical malfunction rather than a drone strike or something. Some of the folks are saying that it could have been a potential pressure buildup in the distillation towers or a pipeline rupture, but Russian state media has not ruled out sabotage yet. So I guess we'll find out. Miraculously, there's been no fatalities reported so far among the 1,200 workers that were on shift, although 15 sustained minor injuries from the initial shockwave and are receiving treatment for it. On October 1st of 2025, dock workers at the port of Livorno in Italy staged a blockade against the Israeli-flagged container ship Zim Virginia, operated by the Zim shipping line, forcing it to depart without performing any loading or unloading operations. The action was a show of solidarity with Palestinians and the Palestinian movement amid Israel's ongoing military operations in Gaza, with workers explicitly refusing to handle cargo suspected of including arms or materials supporting the conflict. Now, protesters, including unionized dock workers and local activists, gathered at the Darsina Toscana terminal, waving Palestinian flags and chanting slogans such as Zim Livorno hates you, while physically blocking access to the port facilities. The demonstration lasted for several hours, preventing the ship from docking fully and compelling its captain to sail away empty-handed. Now, videos have circulated online capturing the scene, showing crowds with banners denouncing the logistics of the Israeli government and the ship's horn sounding in frustration as it reversed course. Now, this is just part of a broader wave of labor actions across Italian ports in late September and early October 2025 that's driven by major unions like the Italian General Confederation of Labor and the Italian Workers Union. Now, similar blockades have happened targeting vessels in Genoa, Ravenna, Taranto, and Venice's Marghera district as well, where workers halted operations on ships carrying explosives, fuel, or other supplies bound for Israel. In Livorno alone, the port has been occupied for 3 consecutive days prior to the Zim Virginia event, which disrupted an American vessel as well. Nationwide protests have also extended beyond ports, including school closures and rallies against Israel's war in Gaza. Now, these events kind of echo some of the similar international patterns that we've been seeing as far as like comparable refusals to handle Israeli shipments reported in ports across France, Sweden, Greece, and other countries in recent months. So I want to tell you about the Black Hornet Nano, which is a compact military micro unmanned aerial vehicle that's often referred to as a nano drone because it's so small. It's so small. It's designed for primarily personal reconnaissance and situational awareness by dismounted soldiers, and it was originally developed by Prox Dynamics as in Norway. It was acquired by Teledyne FLIR in 2016 for $134 million and has since evolved through versions like the Black Hornet 3 and the latest Black Hornet 4 personal reconnaissance system. Over 3,000 units were delivered by 2014 and is now operated by militaries in more than 19 NATO allied countries, including the United Kingdom, the the United States, France, Germany, Norway, Australia, Ukraine, and India. The drone is remarkably small and lightweight, making it easy to carry in your pocket or in a utility belt. Let's talk about a little bit of the specs. So it's like 16 by 2.5 centimeters in length, and its rotor diameter is 12.3 centimeters, at least for the Black Hornet 3. The Black Hornet 3 weighs 18 to 33 grams with battery, which is like, almost less than an ounce, depending on what battery it's in there. It can fly up to 25 minutes while hovering, and it can go up to 1.6 to 2 kilometers line of sight, of course. Its top speed is 21 kilometers per hour or up to 10 meters per second ground speed in multi-mission modes. It's got 3 cameras that face downward and at 45 degrees for, EO videos and still. And it's also got optional night vision with long wave infrared. It's got up to a 10 to 15 knot wind tolerance. So if it's windy, it can still operate as well. It's also GPS enabled with no onboard data storage for security. And it can get a 90% battery charge in approximately 25 minutes. So it can charge pretty quickly. So pretty valuable little piece of gear if you have the money to afford it, because apparently some of the earlier models were critiqued for high costs, which were up to $195,000 per full system, although I'm sure the prices have changed a little bit since then. This would have been a really weird headline to read back in 1942. On October 1st of 2025, German authorities arrested 3 men that were suspected of being members of the Hamas terrorist organization in Berlin, accusing them of plotting attacks on Jewish or Israeli institutions in the country. You see why that would have been really weird in 1942 to read that headline? Anyway, the suspects were charged with membership in a foreign terrorist group and preparing acts of anti-state violence. The individuals identified are Abed Al-G, who's a German citizen, Wael FM, born in Lebanon, and Ahmed I, a German citizen. All 3 were allegedly involved in procuring firearms and ammunition for Hamas operations starting at least from the summer of 2025, with the specific intent to conduct assassinations targeting Jewish or Israeli targets in Germany. Now, during the arrests, police seized an AK-47 style rifle, several pistols, and a large quantity of ammunition from the suspects. Investigators from Germany's anti-terror units have been monitoring the group and observed a weapons handover meeting in Berlin, prompting an immediate intervention by operational forces that led to the arrest and discovery of the functional arms cache. And so far, the suspects are set to appear before a judge to determine pre-trial detention. Now, this incident just follows a pattern for Hamas-linked activities in Europe, including a February 2025 trial in Berlin of 4 other suspected Hamas members that were accused of plotting similar attacks on Jewish institutions across the continent. So I used to think that Nick Fuentes was friends with Candace Owens, but apparently that's not the case at all. There's a 5-minute clip that's been getting shared about Nick Fuentes that's been going around from his his podcast or whatever, and he's accusing Candace Owens of exploiting Charlie Kirk's death, a man she once called a friend, for clicks and drama while tormenting his grieving widow, Erica Kirk. Now, Fuentes, who has a very obviously complicated history with Charlie Kirk, praising him in a eulogy but mocking Turning Point USA's leadership at the same time, calls her out for dragging the story out without receipts, essentially accusing her of stirring up conspiracy theories against Jews. One of the things he said is, quote, "She's a disgusting and vile human being. Shame on her. How she is exploiting her friend's death. Enough is enough already. Produce the evidence or shut the F up, you stupid B. She's the dumbest, most dishonest person I've ever seen. She's giving black anti-Semites a bad name. Ben Shapiro, can you take her back, please? You were right about her." End quote. That was all from Nick Fuentes. So he's going all in on her right now. I'm not familiar with any of Candace's work. I've never watched any of her clips really at any length. I'm familiar with who Nick Fuentes is. He's a little controversial. He's considered kind of an extreme right wing, a far right wing guy. And I mean, a lot of people probably consider Candace Owens alt-right as well. I just didn't expect to see those two she hasn't responded so far, but I didn't expect to see Nick Fuentes coming after her like that. So kind of interesting. All right, guys, that's it for the daily roll-up for today. I appreciate all of you watching the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched it all the way through until now, believe it or not, that does help support the channel. channel, because retention rates on videos do actually tend to tell Google that, hey, you should recommend this to more people, right? So another way you can support the channel is by liking this video, by leaving a comment in the comment section below, and sharing it with your friends. So thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what you thought about this video in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video.